Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Community Works. I'm Bernadette Welsh, your host. Each one of our shows highlights a local nonprofit agency in our state. Our goal is to educate you, our viewers, about the great work that's going on all around us every day by local agencies and their supporters. When people help their neighbors, everybody benefits. The focus of today's show is an organization called Gears in Heaven, and I am so proud to have both Jeffrey and Jennifer here because they're going to explain to you what this is about, but it's really about love, a love of a mom and dad in memory of their son Brandon. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right, so let's let folks know what this is all about. Please tell our viewers some of the background and then maybe the mission statement of your organization.
Sure. So Gears in Heaven, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and our mission is to offer comfort and support to the family of a motorsport enthusiast who is either killed or seriously injured in a vehicle accident. And we define a motorsport enthusiast as someone who is very much into their vehicle, their car, their motorcycle, their truck, their snowmobile, their boat, you name it. If it has a motor and they move it, there's a subgenre of people that just are super into that specific vehicle. So we help out their family any way that we can. And it all started with our son Brandon was a huge motorsport enthusiast. If it moved, he was so into it. He worked in the industry. Brandon was killed on the morning of his 22nd birthday. He was riding his motorcycle to go meet friends to celebrate birthday breakfast and then attend a local car show, which was their normal thing to do on the weekends. And he had a driver turn left over the double yellow lines directly in front of him. And everyone from the car show came to the scene, and people from Brandon's work, which was right down the road at Max BMW Motorcycle, came to the scene, and we were there. And it all spawned out of that. We realized there was going to be a lot of families that didn't have the resources and the support system that we were afforded. And Brandon always wanted to have a nonprofit organization. Mm-hmm. We were looking for an organization to donate some resources or our time to, and we couldn't really find anything that met that passion that Brandon had, so his family and his friends started one for him. It was our way of continuing his legacy.
Jennifer, what is the actual mission statement of the organization? Is there a set mission?
He already said it, yeah. To offer comfort and support to motorsport enthusiasts that have been killed or seriously injured in an accident. Yeah, and that's a very wide range statement. Yeah. So everybody's level of comfort or support that they need is a little bit different. So it really depends on kind of the feedback we get from the family, exactly how we're going to help them. Okay. It could be something very minimal that they need. It could be something, large scale that we have to work on and get some of our volunteers behind.
Very good. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about, hey, how do you help families that have experienced this kind of loss? So, Jennifer, why don't you expand on what you were just saying, because I think that's very important.
Yeah, so, we find out, as you, I'm sure, have found out that there's so many accidents nowadays. I mean, you can't go on TV, you can't go on the internet, can't talk to a neighbor or friend without hearing, did you hear so-and-so died on their motorcycle this weekend or crashed their car? So we first try to contact the family if we can, if that information is readily available to us. And we send them a sympathy card and explain to them who we are, what we do. It's all handwritten, some of them by us, some of them by our volunteers. Just saying, we know what you're going through. We've been there. This is our organization. This is what we have to offer you. Contact us if you'd like to. If we don't hear back from them, that's okay. Sometimes it's a matter of them just needing to absorb that information and say, all right, I have this in my back pocket. Mm-hmm. In 6 months down the road, maybe I'll reach out. And some of them have done that.
And most of the time it's
and
someone...
are there activities then once... Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
No, I was going to say, most of the time it's someone who is a cousin or a nephew or a brother-in-law who reaches out and says, we don't know what to do, we're looking for. So we just make sure that we get in contact with that immediate kin and get everyone's kind of blessing. Mm-hmm. to be involved. You know, it's a tumultuous situation. There's a lot of emotions. And we don't want to be interference or add any disharmony to any family in any way. So we just try to make sure that anyone who is trying to reach out to us, that they are a real representative of the individual and of the family. We try to be extremely respectful of that.
Do you have regular support group meetings or anything like that? No?
Ongoing.
No, we don't. That's a great idea, though.
They're kind of just ongoing on an individual as they need basis, because I guess it would, like in any crisis situation, they're never really planned. So sometimes it's 2 a.m, sometimes it's in the afternoon or on the weekend when somebody kind of like triggers. And we have
Right, we're
different,
there.
different avenues and volunteers that can kind of meet with those needs of the individuals.
Got it. I got it. So really, you're tailoring your response to their need.
Correct.
Very much so.
Right.
I would say every accident presents a unique set of circumstances to every party. Sometimes, like Jen said, it's just getting that little sympathy card, and sometimes it's they need help with the fundraising activity. They need help through the legal process of probate and medical examiner. There's a lot of bureaucracy and red tape involved when someone
red
passes, especially if someone's in the hospital. If they're an adult, it doesn't matter that you're their mom. You can't be their representative legally. There's a lot of things go on behind the scenes that people don't think of until you're in that situation.
And then you're so emotional and distraught.
Correct.
I'm
Right.
Sure. Now, you're a nurse, Jennifer, so
Correct.
you know a little bit more than the rest of us do about
Yes.
people having a medical crisis, and this is that last step of having an end-of-life crisis.
Right, or even, like you said, if they survive the accident, we still help as well.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
very good to know.
Right. So seriously injured, they have to be basically much different than they were before the accident. You know, TBI, something along those lines.
Amputation.
Right, amputations. So as you know, when you go into the hospital, there's so much information that comes at you all at once, right? Different
Yes.
specialists and such. But all those doctors and specialists that are involved in the care cannot direct the family in one direction or the other. They're not really supposed to. So I could get that information in, and I could present it to the family in a way that they can really make an informed decision. You know, not based off insurance or how much it will cover or what the
Yeah.
doctor feels, really what the family would want for their loved one, or maybe what their loved one said to them before they died. Like our son said to us, like, if I die a certain way, you know, that's okay. Or if this is the way I go, then that's okay. So,
and
It sounds like he's a very special person.
when the doctors or the medical staff are talking to you, your ears are buzzing. You can't really even hear what they're saying.
That's
And if
right.
I go back into the waiting room and talk with my family, they're going to say, well, what about this? What about that? Did he say this? Did they say
Did
that?
you
Did
ask
you
that?
ask her this question? I'm going to say, no. And now a lot of time is wasted. And the doctors, especially if there's trauma, and the nurses, they can't come back and forth and wait and hee-haw. When there's someone who's medically trained, they know the immediate questions to ask. When they're receiving information, they can say, aha, well, is it this? Is it that? And there's more of a team feel when other medical professionals are talking with someone who's a medical professional and is kind of like a third party. They're not emotionally attached in with the family. There's just an easier flow of communication and a little bit of more respect. And I think every healthcare takes care of their patient to their utmost, but when they know there's someone else, like a
Third
extra
party.
set of eyes
Yeah.
that can hold a little more accountability, it's no longer just another accident victim, because they see it all day long.
right.
Yeah, it's hard. Okay, I get it.
There's a real advocate.
They almost have to have that little bit of a wall so that they don't get so emotional themselves that they can't do their job.
Correct.
But by the same token, the family's looking for a little bit more sympathy and warmth.
Yeah.
And so I
And a
see
little
where you
direction.
fill that
And
in,
understanding.
because
Sure.
these folks see terrible things, horrible, difficult things every single day.
Absolutely.
They do. And nurses, you do. Okay, so don't worry. If we left something out, we'll come back to it later. Don't worry.
It's all
Don't
good.
worry. Okay, so the next thing I have written here is that we know every family member story is unique, but what stands out most about your experience in understanding them? What have you learned from them? I think we were talking before the show about the commonality.
Yeah, the human connection is huge. We all need that, other humans to help us through different, whether it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, like a tragedy such as this. But grief has no boundaries. It transcends all colors, races, religions, languages.
It's a feeling that unless you've experienced it, you cannot define it. Grief is not how do you define it. It's a feeling, and I wish it's one that no one has to really ever understand, because it's not like loss, like your dog or your goldfish or your best friend when you were kids and went to a different school. Grief of someone who you love is one of the most visceral feelings I think as humans we all are going to experience at some point in our life.
Yeah.
And for some of us, it's endless throughout your life.
Right.
And for some people, it's just they had that one special person. But we all have that in our heart. We all can connect instantly.
And understand that.
And understand.
I always say the story because it's just so poignant for me. When we started this organization, I think we were in it like maybe 2 months, and we had attended a funeral of a young boy, and we went up to the mother at the funeral, and I hugged her and I said to her, I explained who I was, and she looked at me in the face, dead in the eyes, and said to me, "If you can do this, then I know there's hope for me too."
Yes.
So it's just that mutual understanding, like I got you, you got me.
Yes.
I know there's a support out there. If I need you, I'll call you.
Yes, it's almost like you will at one point laugh again.
Yes.
You're not laughing today, but at some point
Absolutely.
you will laugh again.
Yes.
And that's hard to say when you almost feel guilty if you laugh.
Oh yeah.
But that's
yes.
another
It's a whole other topic.
That's
a whole other topic.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Now what we're going to do is you provided us with some wonderful illustrations, some pictures that exemplify what you folks are doing in honor of your son. So, Victor, would you be so kind as to take it away and show us? Okay, what are we looking at, folks?
So this is actually a sticker, a memorial sticker that one of our son's friends made for him to hand out in the beginning when it first happened, to memorialize him. It's a picture of his Supra. He had a Toyota Supra, which is, if you're into motorsports, you know exactly what kind of car that is. A very fast-moving supercar. So that's just one of the stickers they made up.
Everyone in the community, car community, motorcycle community, sometimes they don't know each other's names, but they know each other's vehicle.
Yeah.
Everyone knew Brandon was the kid with the Supra.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, this is wonderful.
Yeah.
Obviously, that is your son, an angel in heaven.
Yes.
Who did that wonderful illustration and why?
So that illustration was actually made by a restaurant owner in Brookfield. The restaurant's called Taco Bachi, where Brandon loved to go. They loved Brandon. I mean, anyone who met Brandon loved Brandon. So this was kind of like their memorial to him. So they presented this to us in a huge poster, which we actually have in our office, hanging in our house.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And what is this?
So it's hard to read here, but it's some literature that we hand out. It gives facts and figures about different accidents and, causes of accidents, statistics and such. And actually on the reverse side of this pamphlet, and one of the pictures I think you have is the motorcycle symbols, hand signals, excuse me.
This has our contact information.
Okay, this is wonderful. We were talking about before the show. People do not know what motorcyclists are trying to tell them.
Correct.
But we're all supposed to know these things, right? When we get tested,
not 100% supposed to know, but for the most part, at least be aware of the most common ones.
The right turn, the
left
left turn,
the stop.
Something's in the road.
And these are commonalities for if you're riding your motorcycle, if you're on a bike, if you're antique car that doesn't have blinker systems, if your car's electrical system, snowmobiles, quads, even when you're walking, you can use these signals to communicate with your friends what's going on.
Bicyclists.
Anything, yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, good. We should all know this. And what do we have here? Oh, that looks like your booth.
Yeah, that's the tent we set up at events, car shows, bike nights, different events, community events, the Milford Oyster Festival, big community events. And it has our brochures, our literature, our contact information, the poster that has all the safety facts and figures on there, have our shirts for people that want to donate if they want to get a shirt.
Cool. And next? There's your
That's-
son.
that's him.
Brandon there.
Wonderful, handsome young man.
Yeah.
Handsome angel. And there's another very beautiful tribute to your son.
So this is, I just want to mention about this picture. This is actually the front of his obituary card.
Uh-huh.
And some people, especially older family members and such, they would say things like, "Oh, he died on his motorcycle. Why would you put his motorcycle on the
we're going to
obituary?"
talk about not blaming the passion.
Well, this is our point. Yeah, he loved that bike. It was
Yeah.
part of his
Loved
life,
his
just like we
car.
were part of his life. So we felt it was important to kind of, keep it with what he loved to do.
I agree. I think our viewers can understand that with that
Yep,
explanation.
absolutely.
And then,
And it's just us.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that was Brandon's 19th
The memories are
birthday.
forever, are they not?
Yes.
For sure. And this is very important. What are we looking at
So
here?
this is kind of a depiction of the impact it had on everybody. This is the actual site where he was killed. The bright light in the center of the road, and if you can see it in this photo, is the actual impact site. And all his friends, co-workers,
candlelight
people
vigil.
who had seen the accident came here for the vigil that night. And this is a picture of the vigil.
And that's kind of where everything resonated with us, that there was a lot of people, a lot of the younger kids and families that I looked around and said, this is bigger than us.
Yes.
And there's a lot of families that have the support and people that show up like this, and then some families have nothing. Well, they didn't before us. Now they do.
Right.
And this is what we
Okay.
try to bring forward to every family.
I think that's so very important. We don't realize how many people we touch in our daily lives, how our kids, who they know, their teachers, their friends, we don't realize
No,
it.
we-
We just
And we-
live in our daily lives. We're going around chug-a-chug-chug.
We
and
knew
then-
Brandon was popular, but we had no idea the
Yeah, the
magnitude.
impact that he had.
Thousands
The
of people came out. There were people from all different states, Maryland, New Hampshire,
Yeah,
coming down.
wow.
And just, it was incredible.
Okay, and finally, this is a picture. It looks like Brandon's younger in this picture.
No,
Not much
Yeah,
younger.
He's just
no.
all
Maybe
fully,
that's
he's
just
just
the
fully
fact-
suited up. Yeah, he's just fully suited up, and he's far back. So this was a picture of him on his motorcycle. One of his friends is a professional photographer, so they took this over on the lake by our house.
Cool.
And it's just a something we kind of use as a mascot, a figurehead of the organization.
It's also on the back of our shirts.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so here we are back again on our live camera. Thank you for explaining those pictures. I think it's going to have a very big impact on our viewers, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we started to talk about not blaming the passion with the memorial with your son's motorcycle. Could you expand on that? What does it mean for folks not to say, "Oh, you
Sure.
let your son drive that dangerous motorcycle"? What, you
And it
know, and now
happened-
you're let's
it
expand
happens
on
with-
that
it
because
happens
that
with
makes
the-
me nuts.
It happens with the cars. It happens with the trucks. I think it's just a natural human reaction that you're looking for something to blame. You're looking for something to hold on to, and it happens more than not. And a lot of the people that don't understand it, that's the first thing they say. Oh, it was because they were in the fast car. Was she with her bike girlfriends? Why were they doing this? Were they racing? The last thing that the person who passed or is injured would want is for people to blame what they loved so much.
That's right.
Very simple.
Very simple. It's very simple.
And we've met so many families that have said the same thing. If my daughter came back, if my husband or son came back, the first thing they do after they hugged us would get in that car, would get on her motorcycle, would get in his snowmobile.
And go
It's what
for a
they
ride.
love.
And then go for a ride.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. I get it. And I hope our viewers understand that also. And that leads us to another thing about unhealthy speech on social media. How can we all do better with that, Jennifer and Jeffrey? How can we do better on social media? We see these things, we're anonymous, we react to them. Could you explain that to our viewers?
Yeah, there's been so many accidents of all kinds, from pedestrians being struck to police officers being hit on the side of the road, cars, motorcycles. And there's always just one comment of, "Oh, play stupid games, win big prizes. Oh, I wonder if they were drinking. There's always just something really snide and really cruel that to a family member, when they see that, or a friend when they see that, that instantly just makes their blood boil. And there's nothing constructive and positive that came out of that comment. It didn't lead to a larger dialogue. It didn't help any fact finding. It didn't bring any closure or any peace. All it did was just be nasty.
Yeah. I wish more people would think before they spoke, even though you don't know who is doing the speaking. You know, folks, you're on social media. You are affecting other people. What you say matters. Unkind things matter. Loving things matter. Why not, Jason? We're just so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And we tell people all the time, never think it can't happen to you.
That's the number one
And
lesson.
if you're going to say those nasty, snide comments, we don't wish any ill on anyone, but are you going to hold that same level of energy that you held when it was somebody else's wife or child
That you knew.
that you didn't know and you wanted to say something really fresh?
I'm glad we talked about that, because I just don't understand cruelty anyway. But to say something cruel to someone who's suffering is just beyond the pale.
Of course.
Just beyond the
Absolutely.
pale. Okay, so now we have to talk about how you make these things happen, which means how is the organization funded? And is everybody a volunteer? Are there any salaries going on? Tell me about the funding. Tell me about your volunteers.
We're a 501c3 nonprofit, so all of our activities are funded through the generosity of donors and volunteers. There's no one paid a salary. No one is compensated in any way. Everything is done out of the love of their heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of our volunteers, they've lost someone. This is not just something that they like or are into. This is their way of paying it forward and remembering their loved one, trying to prevent the next person from. So it's it resonates very heavily with our volunteers, and most of them, even if you tried to offer them something, they would say that's distasteful.
Yeah.
There's
That's
no
insulting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For sure. So the funding goes to buy the T-shirts and
Yeah, well, the funding,
and the
the funding that we
stuff.
take in for ourselves personally goes in for the website. It goes in for our business insurance, our event insurance. It goes in for our CRM management of the website, the social media, tracking our newsletter, building up all the social media posts, so on and so forth. And then promoting, if a family is having a fundraiser, promoting that fundraiser, helping them execute that fundraiser. If they really need help, we have some supplies that we can offer them. We have tents, we have chairs, we have tables. We print flyers for their events. If they're tech savvy and they have a GoFundMe, we share their GoFundMe.
Oh,
And if they're
wow,
not,
that's great. You share
if
the
they're not,
GoFundMe,
if
yeah.
they're not, we create one specifically for them that they have full control over.
Oh, wow. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because not everybody knows how to do those things.
No.
And it
especially-
takes
no,
time. And
especially
if you're
parents.
grieving,
Yeah.
you're not spending 2 to 3 hours to do that, and you can't. It's so horrifying
Overwhelming.
Yes,
and
it's
terrifying.
overwhelming.
You're putting up pictures of your loved one. You're telling their story. It's too early for them.
Yeah.
But we
yeah.
try to gain that access to funds, because that's really what most families are in immediate need of. To
Right.
take
Who
that.
has life insurance on a young child? No, people don't do that.
And even when
They
you do,
don't.
sometimes it's not enough.
Not enough.
And it's not enough.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't come for a while till you get paperwork, till
Yeah,
you
you have
get
to
death
wait.
certificates.
Yeah.
Right.
Medical
Some
bills.
families are living paycheck to paycheck.
When
Yes.
they have
So the
children,
person that had been killed might have been the one that paid the rent next week.
Yes.
baby
So now
needs-
they're just looking just to pay the bills
Got
baby
it.
for
needs
this month.
diapers tonight and food
Yeah,
tomorrow.
all good and very important uses of well-deserved money.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're pretty much at the end of our program, but I think I'd love for you to talk about how is Gears in Heaven honoring your son? We talked around this and around this. I know we have, but how is it honoring your son?
Every aspect of it, Brandon steering the ship. Since
yeah.
he was a little boy, he always said it was going to be a nonprofit that he started for people that could not help themselves. He was going to call it Young for Old and shovel their driveways and bring their garbage down and just do whatever they needed to be done. And as he got older and progressed into loving cars and trucks and motorcycles and what have you, this kind of tied all into it. And we approach everything that we do from his eyes, his heart.
What would Brandon do?
What would Brandon do?
Yeah.
And let's go, Brandon. You know, let's
Yeah.
everybody's equal. Everybody's welcome. That's one thing at all of our events. Everyone is welcome. It doesn't matter if you have an old car, a new car, a bike. You just have to be a good person, a happy person, and want to be a part of the community. And always, everyone has a story. Everyone has a soul, and if there's someone who needs help, and you hear that call, and you don't answer it, that's the worst thing you can do as a human.
I hear you. And Brandon is inspiring all of us to help those
Every
in
day.
need.
Absolutely.
For sure. So, if you'd like to help this wonderful organization, other than, of course, donating money for all the wonderful things that Jeffrey and Jennifer told about, you know, they sure could use some counselors, maybe a lawyer or two, some medical technicians, just to be on the team. So, if you'd like to be on this team and help Gears in Heaven, I'm sure that Jeffrey and Jennifer would be so thrilled. So
Absolutely.
thank you folks very much.
Thank
You
you
are
so much.
honoring your son, and you honor our show by being here. We
Thank you.
appreciate you.
No, we thank
And we
you.
appreciate the good that this is going to do, and maybe it'll even save somebody's life.
Yeah.
Slow down,
That's our goal.
care about other people. If it takes you another 10 or 15 minutes to get to that party, so what? You could save a life by slowing down. So, thank you again. This is Bernadette Welsh with Community Works, and we'll see you again next time, because when people help their neighbors, everybody benefits.